what is racism in its simplest sense, if not this almost intuitive belief that your worth as a human being is determined by where you come from or how long you've been here, not by what you do. Otherwise, how could you possibly be calling for people to be punished according to the circumstances of their birth or treated differently according to the circumstances of their birth? And I think that Theresa May, whether she realises it or not, is in that camp. I think when I read that in 2014 the government quietly removed a key protection from the statute books for some British residents of the Windrush generation who could face deportation, it's a clause that wasn't included in the 2014 Immigration Act, I think that she could do that because she wouldn't have seen the children of the Windrush generation as being quite as British as she is. And British isn't good enough, sorry. Equal to her. I genuinely think, as I look at what she did with the Abu Qatada deportation case, throwing red meat to the Daily Mail while deceiving the country, I genuinely think, when I remember how she lied about somebody who couldn't be deported because they had a cat, I genuinely think, when I look back to those go-home vans that she sent through the streets of our cities and towns, I genuinely think when I remember her allowing people in her top team to talk about EU citizens living here as playing cards or bargaining chips, I genuinely think that she has, like an awful lot of people of her generation and background, I think she has an inbuilt sense of human hierarchy. And I can't come up with, I'm kind of hoping you can, because this is quite a hefty accusation to lay at someone's feet. But I genuinely think that this is currently the only way to explain what's happened with regard to the Windrush generation. Because the reason I used the word empathy at the beginning of this is because part of the reason, and I want to do this in order to avoid the kind of holier-than-thou territory and to render my personal position quite selfish, rather than it being, oh, the great and the good. Let's make it selfish, okay? Let's make it about self-interest, something that we can all understand. I look at the Windrush generation, I look at the current scandal, which is seeing British people facing deportation, facing misery, facing confusion, facing fear because of their background, because of an accident of their birth. I look at these people, I see them as being just as British as me. Of course they are. And I think there, but for the grace of God, go I. So this doesn't have to be about the great liberal mission to protect everybody who's being exploited. You can make it selfish. You don't have to read John Rawls's theory of justice to recognise that if you make a system that's as fair as possible, then the majority benefit. But of course, a minority will always quite like an unfair system. And this Windrush thing speaks to a view that, well, it couldn't happen to me because I am different from you, because I'm not black, I'm not West Indian, I'm not the child of an immigrant. I couldn't end up in this situation because, well, it doesn't happen to people like me. And if you look at Theresa May through this lens, I worry that the evidence has been in front of us all along. I worry that the catalogue of decisions that she took as Home Secretary speaks of a woman who actually looks at her electorate, in this case, or at her population, and sees value according to colour.